Welcome to PK Woodworking. And Black Friday happened, and I got a new lift table that I'll show you guys along this from Rangate. I've already had a Rangate lift table before that you guys have maybe seen before. It's hydraulically operated from your foot press or whatever you press up and down to use it. It's very helpful in the shop. And I've always wanted to get a second one, and they had a sale for Black Friday, so I picked one up. Now I've got to make a top for it. I made a top for the other one, just a regular top out of maple, 6/4 maple. Today I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to use the glue line cutter on my shaper to make the joints between each one of them. Now you might be saying, Paul, it might be just easier for you to just bust out your Domino and domino them. Probably, but I also want to get used to using it and understand, if I can use the shaper to just move up 2.5 millimeters, or if it's just easier to flip the piece around if I get it in the center. Anyway, we'll get there when we get there. But first I need to process all the lumber, which means I need to joint it. I need to surface it to the correct dimensions, so they're all the same dimension. And then I also need to make sure that they're all cut to close to the same length, so at the end it'll just be easier for glue up, etc. So I did buy a little extra on purpose so that I could use some test pieces on the shaper. But let me get to processing all the lumber, and then we can move on to the stuff we're going to do on the shaper. Okay, front is looking good. Let's clean off the surface. Ooh, a little rough there. Clean off the surface and make sure we're ready to go here. I just lean back. Make sure we're 90 degrees there. Now, get this top all nice and lubricated with this carbon glide. All right, let's go. So it's important that it's like a semi-reference surface. So you want to make sure you got a joint surface on two sides, so the edge and the face. And now I'm gonna reference that face off of the bottom part of the planer and then get them all to the exact same thickness. Come on. Okay, so now we are at let's shoot for 30 millimeters and see what happens. 30 millimeters. Okay, so now I'm going to rip them to width on the table saw. So let me switch all this up and go over there. Okay, so now we're back to old school, like ripping without a motorized fence. So this is fun. And as you could probably tell, that motor's got more than enough power in this little bad boy. So dust collection's rough without the top hooked up, but that's just because I haven't hooked it up, because I'm, hopefully a month or so away from getting my real saw. So that only took me a few minutes to get that done, not very much. So now I'm gonna go over and install the cutter head and see where we're gonna go on the shaper. So follow me over there. So for those of you that may have been around for the last few shaper videos, I wanted to just kind of go over a couple of things. So I did end up getting the parts that I need to be able to do an outfeed kind of fence for the shaper for when I do my rails and stiles. Haven't quite finished that yet. And you can actually use that for this particular thing that we're doing also today. I've had good luck doing it just in a regular traditional way, so that's the way I'm going to do it. But let's take those out, put them to the side. So this is the glue line cutter. So hopefully you can kind of see this, and I'm going to try to walk through the whole part of putting this in so you can see it. So I'm going to move that out of the way, and then we're going to take off the cutter head. You got to make sure that the inserts in the shaper won't get in the way of the cutter head. So I'm going to pull these spacers out. And because of the video, I'm not going to program my shaper today for this. I just need to get this done. So let's see if that works. So yeah, as long as I don't tilt the shaper, that will work perfectly fine the way it is. So let's get it put back in. Kind of avoid some of the smaller ones if we can. Yeah, let's go for one of these instead. And then a big one. Nope. There we go. Okay. And then tighten it down. And make sure that the cutter doesn't spin. And we're good to go. So now these will end up going back on again when I do something else. So now what you got to do is figure out the exact center line of the pieces of wood that I have. And I'm going to pick a piece of wood and maybe cut it in half so we can, that's going to be an extra piece, so we can kind of adjust and figure out where we're going to be at with this. Cool. Okay, test pieces. There is a method to the madness on this. This is what's called the poor man's distometer from Einer. So can't find them anymore, unfortunately, but this kind of almost does the same thing as the distometer does. So what we want to do is we want to get this groove right here in the center of the boards to the point where when you flop the board over, that they connect great and they're flush. Because you can see right now they're perfectly flush here the way this is. It wouldn't make any sense to make this thing and then have it all cattywampus and not be able to work. So let's see where we're at right now. Go all the way down to the bottom, and then I'm going to zero it out at the bottom. And then I'm going to raise it up. And we're going to see where we're at the bottom of this one groove. And I'm going to say that's 12 millimeters. Let's see what that looks like on this. Seems like that's way, 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 way too low. So let's raise this up. By hand, raise it up. That's getting close. All right, I'm going to call that close. Let's zero that out. Off. We want to take a millimeter or two off of this thing where we're going. So let's go there. And then I want to take a millimeter off. So after it comes through, that we're taking a millimeter off. Okay. So I like that. I like how we're set up. Come down here. Just to keep me out of the cutter. Purely a safety thing. And then I want to move this way closer. Right there. And I want to move this one closer. And then we're going to run a test And then I'm going to chop it off and we'll flip it and see how close we are. Okay, let's cut it and test it. So here we are. See how far we're off. So we're going to flip this one. And we got a ways to go. So I think we're too high. So we're going to go down. Let's go down. See how far we got to split this difference. So we lost a camera, but that is pretty much dead nuts on. So we are going to run them with said power feeder. And you have to be really careful because you have to twist them back and forth to do this, but I'll mark them all up so it comes out right. Got a newfangled thing for the power feeder also, which is a, this is like a distance kind of setting meter, so you know that what you're doing is right when you're setting this thing apart from each other. It also keeps it from rotating in. So let's get this thing with a little angle, like so. Oop. And we want to make sure we keep it off a little bit. And then that is this locked. I think we're not locked. Now we are. Now rotating wise is this. And then we're going to set this one like that. So it can't move. Let's see what the height is going to be like on the wheels. That looks pretty good. Let's make sure we got it all the way through and we're good to go all the way through. We are. All right, let's see how that goes. So we're going to call this up and then down. Flip it down, run it. there you go. It like lines up pretty perfectly like that. It's going to be a piece of cake glue up, and it's bigger than it needs to be. You know, it only is going to be 32 wide. So this is a little wider. So what'll happen is after I'm done, I'll take a slice off of both sides, or maybe one side. I'm not sure, because I'm going to be like 32 is like right here. So that'll give me a decent little piece of wood left over. And my goal would be that I don't want any of these in any of the round cuts that I'm going to have, but you will see them on the ends. Just kind of how it works out for doing stuff like that. So time for taking off some of the safety stuff and moving on to glue up. So back to Black Friday. Rangate gave me, or I should say I got from Rangate, 2 more locking casters to go for my original cart. So I'm going to replace those really quick, and then we'll get to gluing. So I know you've seen me glue things up a million times, but maybe you've never seen me do something with a glue line. And I don't see that very often anyway on YouTube. So it's super straightforward, but I figured I'd record it. Why not? So here we go. Time to get sanding. No time like the bad, like the present. This is where this thing shines. So I didn't put a crosscut. It's just a rip blade still, but I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. So that just goes to show you that if you were on the other side of that blade, that would not have been fun. But that was just a piece of wood that blew up out of the end of it because it's got a little crack on the end, but it trued up real nice. So let's flip her around. Cut it to length. And what we want to do, we want it to be, like I said before, the same as my other one. That looks like 52 to me. And there we go. She done. All right, let's sand the top. Got a round over bit on this one. When I bought my Festool router, the guy that I bought it off of was getting out of the business, and he had a bunch of brand new Makita routers he had never used, and he also had a couple of rigid ones too. So he basically gave them to me for nothing. So now I just, said, hey, put a router bit in each one of them that I use. I got a chamfer in one, I got a radius one in one. And if you can find a deal like that, I say go for it. So. You may be saying, PK, you just showed us how to make some shop furniture, and I guess I did. So this is like I said before, my second Rangate cart. First one is slightly different than this second one. This one's a little beefier, I think. It's got some thicker stuff and a slightly larger base than the other one did. Both of them are super incredibly sturdy. It says it's good for 660 pounds. I would guess it probably is good for more. If you've watched my shop build projects, I use this to lift stuff up. I used my other one to lift stuff up that I'm sure was more than that. This top is slightly thinner than the other top. This is 1 1/8 inch. That might be 1 3/16 inches or something like that, but more than beefy enough for me to use for anything. It doesn't come with the top kind of on purpose because some people perforated tops in it to use it like an MFT table. My Barth table that I have, the larger one, has that already. And then the other table that I use up here at the front has the Parf version of that already set up. So I didn't need to have it on this. This is just to help lift stuff, free my back up from doing that work. And these things should last a lifetime. And I expect my kids to be selling these things off when I'm done. So if you liked the video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I just wanted to kind of show also using the glue line a bit inside the shaper instead of using a domino like probably everybody else would have done, as I get used to like using the shaper. So again, thanks, appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.